Hello friends, in this video we will be having a discussion on the poem Sita written by the poet Toru. So before jumping into the text, let me first give you a brief introduction to the poem Sita. See, the character of Sita has been adopted from the Indian epic Ramayana, and the poem Sita itself is a part of the collection uh, Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan, which was published 5 years after the death of the poet in 1877. That means this particular collection was published in 1882. It was published posthumously. And the poem begins with the introduction, with the description of the three happy children in the darkened room. It was bedtime, and they were actually listening to a story which was being narrated by their mother. Their mother was trying to put them to sleep, and so she was narrating them a story. She was telling them a story, and these three happy children were listening to that particular story. So this is all about the first two lines, and since the children were listening with so much interest and attention, the poet was wondering what is it that they are listening with so much interest and attention. Now, from line 3 to line 12, the poet gives us a description. The poet she gives us a description of the surrounding of the setting of the poem. That means she gives us she paints a very beautiful picture of the middle of the forest. Firstly, in lines 3 and 4, we find that she tells us that the forest is too dense, it is thick, it is covered with tall trees, and there were there are creepers which actually surrounded the tall trees, and flowers were blooming on those creepers. And in lines 5 and 6, we find that there is a clear lake in the middle of the forest, and the waters of which were very much clear and lucid. Even in lines 7 and 8, we find that the swans were gliding in the clear water of the lake, and the peacock was springing, the wild deer was racing. And in these two lines, line 7 and 8, we find that a reference to Alexander Pope's poem Windsor Forest has been made. Wearing from the Brake is actually a reference to the 18th century poet Alexander Pope's poem Windsor Forest. He was a very famous satirist of his age, and see, here the poet very clearly she depicts the lively activities which were going on in the middle of the forest. And in lines 9 and 10, we find that there were crops which were being grown in the patches of land which was cleared in the middle of the forest, and which clearly indicates that there was a settlement there, somebody was living there. And the mention of smoke and altars in the poem clearly suggests the hermitage of Valmiki. It refers to the hermitage of Valmiki, where Sita she sought her shelter after she was abandoned or left by Lord Rama. And in lines 11 and 12, we find that the poet she shares her own feeling towards the middle of the forest, towards the middle of the jungle. She says that it is a very pleasant and calm place. It is a place full of calmness, and it is a heaven or paradise-like place for poets who want to spend their time in tranquility. So after putting in a lot of effort on the description of the surrounding and the setting of the poem, now and the poet she moves on to describe a very beautiful lady, a very beautiful and fairy lady, which happens to be Sita, the heroine of our poem. So the discussion up to line 12 is completed. In the next video, we will have a discussion on the remaining 10 lines. Thank you.